Greetings everyone. It's me, that ghost. Right now it says we have a good connection. I don't think we do, based on what I can see. I really wanted to continue my vampire stream, but it looks like perhaps having all my family come home has messed it up because now everyone on my family is on a million devices. Yeah, my grandma is, I am right now in order to monitor things. My mom is, my dad is, my sister is, all the TVs are on. It still says good connection, but I don't know. I'm a little bit skeptical. So, we will see. We will see. So last time it cut off, I didn't turn it off, unlike the one before. It turned off on its own, and I was aware that my family's home, so I thought, oh, if my stream is already down, I might as well get downstairs and talk to my family. So I showed my grandma my hat, because she hasn't seen it yet. It's, it's my ghost logo, and I don't know. Let's, I don't know. Because right now the stream thing is so behind, which you guys can see right now because I'm on this page. You can see it's behind here versus here. I couldn't tell how well I can see the ghost null right now, which it looks kind of meh. But anyway, when we last left off, I was reviewing blood substitutes based on how much I currently enjoy them. I don't know because I have not been listening to audio from myself in this stream. I have only been watching visuals. I don't know. Right now, I have taken off my headphones because none of my friends joined the Discord this time or the last time, so I doubt they'll pop in now. I'm hoping in the future, when I review websites, I won't be reviewing them alone. I'd like to have a team of people with me, laughing, looking at the websites, making some jokes, maybe believing that it applies to them, you know. But today, no one is really in the mood to review vampires with me. That's completely okay. If you are watching and you'd like to be involved in future website streams, uh, pop into the description below where I have a link to my Discord server where you can join me. But yeah, let's get back into it. So, where we last here, I said I liked cooked insects a lot. I've eaten it a few times in my life and I enjoyed it every time. I said I liked cranberry juice before TikTok made it popular. I said I love fresh berries. In my yard, we grow strawberries. I said I'm allergic to chamomile, and it's used in a lot of teas, and it's used in a lot of witchcraft. And I don't know how much of this was audible last time, but I'm allergic to chamomile. I can't have it. I really love ginger. I like to mix ginger and lime juice and apple juice and drink it. I'm a big fan of ginger. I really like mint. I actually have mint growing in my garden. Right now, I'm gonna check the audio. I don't want to start a whole scene if people can't hear me. So I'm gonna check the audio on a different device. Give me. Actually, I can check it on the same device. Give me one moment. Just, have mint growing in my garden. Yeah, audio's good. Anyway, yeah, so we left off with, like, mint, energy drinks. I love energy drinks. I love Monster Energy. Geritol liquid. I don't know what that is. Sports water with oxygen. The only water I drink is tap water. I'm not even joking. Like, this, I just filled this up with the big kitchen sink downstairs. Raw liver. I don't eat livers, period, raw or cooked, because the liver filters out stuff from your body. I don't want to eat a filter. Just like I wouldn't lick the dirty air filter, the dirty water filter, I wouldn't eat a liver. Stuff gets filtered out for a reason. Whatever. Blood, bear blood. At some point, I'd like to try bear blood, just because that sounds crazy. So I want to do it. Since I was a fetus, I've been called bear. Like when my mom was pregnant, they called me baby bear, and I still get called bear. I no longer called baby bear because I'm an 18-year-old man, but I've been called bear my whole life. So I feel like if I drank some bear blood, that would be like awakening my true bear powers. Brewer's yeast. I've never eaten that. Sea salt. Yeah, I've ingested sea salt before, both like as seasoning and also one time I just wanted to know if it tasted different than table salt. So I licked my finger and put it in sea salt, like licked my finger and put it in table salt and did like a salt taste test. Kelp, I've never had. Colloidal. I'm not gonna click that link because I don't want anything to pop up and ruin my stream. But I've never heard of that. Cholera. I think cholera is the name of a disease. I'm sure it's also a fruit or vegetable. I've never had it. Spirulina. I've never had. Blue-green algae. I've never had. Oh, it says some people are allergic to these. Interesting. Table salt. I just mentioned table salt. And self-hypnosis, whether you not research. Suzanne is saying that it's important we do research before hypnotizing ourselves. I do agree. I think when you mess with the subconscious mind, it's very important that you do things responsibly and like respectfully and stuff like that. Not respectfully, just safe. Educate yourself before you do stuff. So yeah, I've done self hypnosis before. I consider self hypnosis to be very similar to meditation, if not just a subcategory of meditation. So you're doing it to yourself. Never done it for vampire reasons, just because people do stuff sometimes. A history of vampirism. Here we go. Okay, cool. We have the red background again, which is good. White backgrounds are actually very irritating to my eyes, like dark red, dark black, not dark black, just black, dark gray, dark purple, dark blue, stuff like that's fine. But like, uh, I keep I keep my devices on dark mode for a reason. That's what I was trying to say, but English is hard. These are talking about Vampire Face. They have Dracula, which I don't know if they're going to talk about the main character of Dracula or they're going to talk about Vlad the Impaler. I already know all about him. Lilith, I know about her through like witchcraft and spiritual stuff, which just might be different in the vampire virus. I'm not going to check this out because to me this isn't about like what a real vampire is. This is about history stuff. And same with like covens. We already went through one about like an MLM. So I don't think we'll go through the rest. I'm just going to see what it has to offer though. I'm going to drink some water. So it talks about a cult evaluation. There was a cult evaluation frame on the last site that we didn't look at, but I saw it when I was in middle school, which was interesting. Seems like this and both the last site are like, hey, you know, don't join a cult just because they claim to be vampires. So, let's talk about these. That's cool. A vampire female dominated thing reminds me of the book series I really liked in middle school, House of Night. So it's a really good book series. I'm not going to read through any of these again because to me they don't really talk about what a vampire is or how to tell if you're a vampire. They just talk about different historical groups, which would be a very interesting read for a different day. But today, personally, not what I'm into. So the Black Veil is. So earlier I said it was a role playing thing. It's just like the morality stuff. I did not mean to click there. Let's look at 4.0, I guess. Like, this would be the most recent. Pull up the Black Veil. Here, do I still have a good quality? Yeah, I do. Okay. It looks like my little. Uh-oh, it says I'm not receiving enough video. Oh, there's someone in the chat, though. That's nice. It says, right here it looks like I have a good things. Before this is flashing red and yellow. If YouTube shuts down my video again, like it did last time, early shutdown, I'm gonna call the rest of this off for today, and I'll do the vampire streaming tomorrow. Or I might call it off until tonight, because I really think it's getting bad because my family's home. So I went from being one of 2 people at home to being one of 5 people at home. Is my audio even good? I saw it when I was in middle school, which was interesting. Seems to be okay. I don't know. Stream health of 2. 2 out of what? That's okay, don't worry. Okay, thank you. Thank you in the chat, Tamara Galata. Sorry about this. Good connection again. I I think it might be my family. I think it's because I'm not home alone. Well, not home alone, but like I wasn't home alone earlier. But one person is different than four people. Okay, we're gonna see the black veil now. Show us the veil. Show us the veil. Um, please. Let me mute and play. I think that's important, right? I don't even know anymore. Alright. Singularnews.org, which should either be. Yeah, I think it's this one. Yeah! Alright, yeah, we're gonna see that in a little bit. It's nice that all these websites kind of connect, just like the last one was making fun of this one or whatever. So, they're gonna quote Martin Luther King. That's really interesting. I personally wouldn't associate Martin Luther King with vampires, but I like how they're defining morals and laws through Dr. Martin Luther King. So earlier in my stream earlier today, let me check health again, so I'm gonna be obsessed over it. Good connection. Okay. Shit, I got your surname right. Oh heck yeah. Um, I try to be respectful of people's names and get them right when I can. I struggle reading, but I'm happy I got yours right. Um, so I think a lot of these will be moral codes for vampires, like secrets. So they talk about hidden in plain sight. So they want people to when you speak. This is worded in a very formal and mystic way, which makes me struggle to understand it because I'm already bad at communication. This hidden in plain sight thing seems to go against what I'm doing right now, which is exposing this website to all of YouTube. So, oops, I was unaware that what I was doing was bad because on the last website they were saying they wanted all the vampires to come forth, and if they made their presence known as vampires, then society would have to accept them. So it looks like they're saying basically speak for yourself and not for all vampires. So some vampires out there probably don't want me to make this stream because they feel like their own personal beliefs shouldn't shape the look of all the vampires or whatever. I'm not a vampire, so I don't get it. I'm sorry, now YouTube is not receiving enough video again. Take a drink of water every time I get frustrated. I really, I don't. Yeah, it says poor stream quality. I don't know what to do to improve it. I blame it on the people around me. Um, well, I'm just gonna go on and see what happens. So basically, I guess according to this code, vampires shouldn't let their own personal beliefs about vampires affect how the whole world sees all vampires, which I guess that's respectable. Like, I'm part of the LGBT community, and when I speak about my opinions on the community, I make it very clear that they are only my opinions. They aren't the opinions of everyone within the community. Honor mundane law. They're using mundane in the same way that witches, like me, use the word mundane, which is meaning it's not related to magic or the occult. So there's normal people laws. I personally, yeah, I believe that you should respect the law when the law respects the people. Like, if it's legal to oppress someone, you shouldn't do that. Like, the phrase, like, nothing Hitler ever did was illegal. And I feel like sometimes what's legal to do is not morally right to do, and sometimes it's moral to go against the law. Like, when the law discriminated against African American people or gay people, I believe it was right for people to riot against that and stand up for what's socially moral instead of what's legal. So I don't know if I'll honor mundane law. I think I'll honor fellow human beings and try to promote a better world for them. Sorry, I'm gonna sneeze. So blood is a metaphor for life force, which I think earlier. Pardon, pardon all my sneezes. YouTube still isn't saying it's getting enough video from me, so I'm kind of sick. I'm not like extremely sick. I'm just a little bit sick. But I think it's more important to treat other people morally than it is to follow the law, because a lot of times the law is immoral. So, metaphor for blood. Earlier in this website, I think they were, yeah, editorial note, but I have to stop and laugh at their butt, the wannabes who don't. Yeah. So, right here, they're acknowledging that the metaphor for blood goes against stuff already on the website. Responsibility for minors. Okay, so this tenet for the black veil is saying you have to be legally an adult to get involved with stuff, which, because right here the author is reacting to the black veil, I think that means they didn't write it, or maybe like a friend wrote it. I don't really know where it originated from, to be completely honest, because I've been skimming through this. I'm not a minor, I'm an adult, so I think I'm allowed to be reading this or whatever, but the creator of this website, Zane, who created Awake and Drink, said they want mature people to read this website, but they don't believe any specific age is a mature age. There's mature people and non-mature people, and regardless of age. I'd consider myself to be coming at this from a mature angle, but if I come off as disrespectful or like I'm mocking the real vampire community, I do apologize. Current quests. So basically, this is like the duty of vampires. They almost unite as one, work together. The conflict with glamour and waste of time. Because they capitalize glamour, I'm assuming they mean it in the witchcraft sense, like when you project a false image, which I've done before. I've projected glamours to look differently. This history. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry to hear about your exam. Yeah, I have on Monday. I have a AP Statistics AP test, and I'm really scared for it. And I should be studying it today, but I decided no. I'd rather look at vampires. So that's how my day's going right now. um, I'm glad that we're back with good connection. But yeah, jeez. So the whole like all the quest of the vampires is with each other, stuff like that. That kind of reminds me of the last website where they were saying within their vampiric code, written by I believe his name was Steven, they were saying, interesting. Yeah, they're saying that this was written by a she. Zane is saying that what we just read was written by a she on the website that we're going to go to later. So that's nice. And she did give Zane permission to upload it, which that's good. Which that makes me feel like I'm not betraying Zane by showing the whole vampire site because it was this person who was talking about being not out in the open or whatever. So I might think twice. I might skip over their website on this live stream because I don't want to disrespect them. Um, unless again, maybe I'm misinterpreting what they meant by that. But I think I probably won't review their whole website then if they are interested in if they're interested in protecting a vampiric identity and stuff like that. Okay. I mean, again, it's an interesting idea to review. Oh, thank you, Jack. So I've been interested in vampires my whole life. I mentioned that a lot in my last stream of this, and then my computer just stopped working, so I disappeared. But now I'm back, like an hour later, because I hung out with my family. I showed them my hat, and this morning my family went to like a tiny homes exhibition. So they came home, they showed me photos they took of the tiny homes. Yeah, real vampire time. I'm glad you guys are also interested. 'Cause I've been interested in vampires so long. Um, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, wait, I forget. I'm easily distracted. But anyway, I'm back. So this person, the last website we looked at was by someone named Steven who dislikes the term vampire community because he claimed a lot of posers and other people who don't belong in the community are part of the community. This person is saying the vampire community is all people who participate in the discourse and interaction surrounding vampirism, which technically my live stream is discourse and interaction surrounding vampirism because I'm discussing it and you guys are interacting with me. So Tamara, Jack, and I are all now officially part of the vampire community. You heard it here. You heard it here first, folks. Um, but people Modern vampirism, and that includes people who donate to vampires, people who are vampires. It also supports friends, advocates, and supporters. I believe those people are called black swans. I'm not fully sure. I read that somewhere when I was researching this episode, and I pulled when I found all these websites. Somewhere out there said that you're a black swan. There's no class system within the community, and we reject imposed social structure. Heck yeah, communism time. Sorry. So respect others, have integrity, be aware, be safe. Safety is good. All of this, I think this is just how to be a decent human being, so I'm going to skip over it. Or if you're not a human, if you're like otherkin, how to be not terrible to be around. Safety. Yeah, screen people before you drink their blood. That's good. I think it's important not to drink blood from random people. Yeah, don't drink from people who have HIV/AIDS. Yeah, I'd say it's important not to mess with people who are mentally ill. Like if someone's going through a traumatic event in their life, don't be like, give me that blood. Practice safe sex. That's always good. Don't drink for people who are drunk. Yeah, that's a good that's a good way to uphold consent. Pardon my stutter. Do not draw attention to the donors. And when vampires are donors, because basically don't break the law and be nice. We should do werewolves. Honestly, I wouldn't mind doing an episode on werewolves. If I did werewolves, I'd probably have to address many sub communities because you have like the real werewolf community, and then you have otherkin, and then you have lycanthropes, and they're all like technically different groups. So if I do an episode on werewolves, it's gonna be probably longer than this vampire one, which is like I think we're already past a few hours. Yeah, tune in next weekend where I research. Actually, it doesn't even need to be the weekend. After next week, I graduate high school forever because I'm a senior and this is my last week of high school. So after next week, if I wanted to, hypothetically, I could just stream websites every day, which I won't, but I could. So I like this moral thing. This is nice. So before we leave this site and go on to the next one, I think psionics is the only one we haven't looked at that is relevant. So like I said, I'm not going to be going to chat rooms and forums on a website that no longer that no longer exists and has to be accessed through the Wayback Machine. Alright, so forward. I'm probably gonna skip all of this because I do astral travel and meditation and energy work, which I've mentioned earlier in the stream. So I don't. I'm sure vampires define it at least relatively similarly to the way I'm used to these terms being defined. If a viewer at home doesn't know about any of this, I'm sorry. I'm just jumping in. So it's different explanations, I guess. So idea motor means ideas in motion, ideas that affect motion. Okay, so this is debunking Ouija boards, which I agree with. They did that on Brain Games. So if you blindfold someone and make them do a Ouija board, the answers they get are nonsense because they don't see where they're going. Um, yeah, so this is just saying is like I personally. Alright, so this person is saying like if you know that this person is saying that psychic energy doesn't. Nah, Zane is saying that when people say psychic energy doesn't exist because it's people are feeling it themselves like a placebo, Zane is saying you know everything. Like if you eat, you'll feel full, so you feel full. If you sleep, you'll feel rested, so you feel rested. So yeah, that makes sense. Um, okay. Yeah, this just sounds like a lot of like psychic vampires tend to read too much into body language and other kinds of behavior. All right, meditation. Everyone knows what I know about meditation or aura colors. Let's look at psi feeding. So I described it in my last stream. Since I never took you as a supernatural believer kind of guy. Oh, I actually am quite interested in all of that stuff. I consider myself to be involved with the occult. That's like the most mild way to say it. Like call myself I don't call myself a lot of things, but I graduated, passed my exam still. I'm sorry that's the way it is in Poland. That sounds stressful. I have to take like two finals, and the rest of my classes have final projects, which I need to finish. Like one of them, I have to do like a painting, and some other. Hmm. It's not a big deal for me. I just don't want to do it. And for Jack, I'm actually very much involved in the occult. I've been always trying to get involved in occult discussions because I have multiple friends that are like pagans and witches and stuff. But very often, either conversations just don't happen. Like I try to start them and it just doesn't go anywhere, or I just hit other roadblocks. It's very hard for me to meet people who want to discuss this sort of stuff with me. I'm not trying to complain. I'm just stating a fact. Like I think I'd be much more into like supernatural, paranormal stuff if I was part of a community that like really, really was into it. Because then I would dive all the way in. But right now I'm in a sort of like 50-50 community. Some people believe, like most of my friends are atheists, and the other half have a wide variety of religious beliefs. So I don't really feel like pulled towards any one thing very strongly. So if you can't see or feel energy, you can't psychic feed. So you have to learn how to see energy and auras. Tentacles. Hey, I actually mentioned the tentacle method in either my first or second stream today. Yeah, this is stuff I was talking about. Plants, animals. Yeah, don't hurt animals. Oh, fire and electricity. Wait, guys, if I put this fork in a socket, I can feed. I'm joking, of course. Don't actually do that. I'm not saying that's what Zane is saying. I'm just making a joke. I do. I say electricity is kind of sus to say you can feed off of it. Fire, though, I get that. There are times where I feel like really upset and I like light a candle in my room and like magically I feel better. So that's just something neat. Yeah, if you take energy from technological devices, they'll mess up. Is that what broke my phone? One of zero projects, lots of cramming. That sucks. Ah, yeah. Um, that was like a meme video. In the description, we were saying it was like satire and stuff. Oh, books on witchcraft. Okay, I don't own very many physical books. I do a lot of research online. If you're interested in specific things, I do have some specific books, though. Sorry, recently I reordered my room, and I can't find the book I want to recommend you. But there's a book by an author named Orly Stewart. Well, Orly Stewart makes a lot of books along with this group called Become a Living God, and they do a lot of witchcraft stuff. And some of their books, all their books seem really expensive. Pardon. Um, so a lot of their books about like certain figures, like a certain god or goddess, I personally wouldn't like endorse for someone to buy because I feel like you could do the same information through research from like wider sources, but they have like practitioners books for specific things. Like they'll have a book about like an intro to demonology or a book on an intro to like tarot and rune casting and other kinds of divination, and any of their intro books are very good. And I have some of them, but I couldn't find them on my bookshelf. So I don't know where they went. You know, sometimes you clean your room and then immediately after you lose everything. It's like how is it harder for me to find stuff in a clean room than a dirty room? I don't know. I also have a bunch of like Christian religious books on my bookshelf. So I don't know. But yeah, I that's about it. If there's a lot of free websites where you can research stuff, which I know a lot of people tend to not trust religious information from the web because the web is a lot newer than a book. But a lot of websites are actually really cool. I have to look into the craziness. Yeah, honestly, I mean, even if you don't believe it, it's always fun to research. Like, there's a lot of stuff I research that I don't personally believe in, but it's still entertaining for me. Like, there's just a lot of things there where it's like a good example for me is like birth charts and name numerology. I personally don't believe in either of those things, and I have a lot of friends who do. And I don't believe in like the zodiac birth chart stuff, and I don't believe in the fact that your birth name affects your destiny because I've actually changed my legal name and nothing happened. Yeah, I have like probably 7 different Bibles in my room. Um, and I have like the Mary candle. I have like a cross over on my wall. I have a bunch of different religious stuff in my room actually, like from a lot. I have witchcraft stuff in my room and Christian stuff in my room. You gotta have a little bit of both in your life. But yeah, scythe feeding just sounds like you take energy from something else. Astral projection is fun because I've done it and I found it fun. Witchcraft, werewolves, and vampires from movies. Yeah, well, it's a lot different in real life than from movies. Like, these the people I'm researching today, the real vampire community, they don't turn into bats, they don't fly. They do drink blood, they do other stuff. Just like witches in movies, they're always like shooting magic and stuff out of their hands. But then in real life, a lot of witchcraft is more or less about energy work. Like it's about I'm gonna light a green candle because to me green symbolizes health, and I'm gonna burn this plant because it symbolizes this, and I'll channel my energy through it. So I don't know. Real witchcraft and vampires are really calm. I know very little about real werewolves because I've already shared everything I know about them on this stream. Is that there's like three different kinds, if you don't count furries. But just, but yeah, that's I might have to do a werewolf stream. Yeah, astral projection is the action of becoming your soul, moving. So they're saying, I guess it's like when you transfer your consciousness from your physical body to your soul body, which I consider it like a second skin wrapped around their body. This is just a conversation with someone named David about seeing auras. Azaria Zane's wife. This is interesting, but I don't feel like the stream is the right place to read a personal conversation. My friend, yeah, and it's okay if you don't believe in anything. Like, in my opinion, like, I feel like there's really no evidence that this stuff exists, and there's also no evidence that it doesn't exist. So if someone chooses to believe in it, there's really no evidence behind their belief. It's just, I feel like that's correct. And if someone doesn't believe in something like God or vampires or witches, I don't think it's like, oh, I've debunked God. It's just since there's no evidence they don't believe. So I really feel like belief on everything is pretty much just a personal choice because if there was conclusive evidence for either side, then there wouldn't be whether or not people believe. So I probably explained it poorly, but you know what I'm saying. Like I really feel like you can't really prove witches exist, you can't really prove vampires exist. So whether or not you believe is really up to your own personal feelings. You can't prove God exists. It's just whatever you think is right in your gut. Like astral seals, I actually barely know about these, and I learned about these through a friend. So I only have one person's point of view on this. So I'd like to get a second point of view here. Which, for all I know, my friend learned about it from the site, which means it would be the same thing. Seals mean to hide. Emotions, thoughts. Some people create what are called seals to hide these things. You shouldn't do that with current thoughts and memories. People have certain things they'd rather not others see and rather forget themselves. Does that mean I can take all the troubles in my past and create a magical seal so that I can't remember them anymore and none of my friends who have known me for like 10 plus years can remember them? Because I'd like that. When you're on the astral plane, you'll find doors. Create a door or portal and lock something behind it. I might have to try that during meditation sometime. Hmm. I personally, I struggle a lot with like my past, so this sounds nice. To place something behind a seal, what you have to do is look into your own aura. Of course, you can do this however you wish. Well, if you're manipulating your aura is the easiest way. You want to hide a memory. Project outside yourself and view your own aura. It's often tethered amongst themselves, placed behind a door. This kind of, in my head as I'm reading this, I'm visualizing that scene from Wreck-It Ralph when okay, this is going to be a spoiler for Wreck-It Ralph, which came out, I think, like, it came out like 6 or 7 years ago. So if you haven't seen Wreck-It Ralph, that one's on you. But this guy goes into, I'm using vague language to avoid spoiling, but you might figure stuff out. This guy goes into the code of a game, and all the things in the code are connected to each other, all the characters, all the items, and he intentionally severs connections for one thing and locks it away secretly. And by doing that, he makes that thing glitchy, and that's what this sounds like. The memories are tethered together, locking it away, stuff like that. So I'm wondering if doing this might be dangerous. Construct. And program this construct to seal. Oh, it's like when I made a thing and I programmed it to be Peter Griffin. To halt all communication between the item in question and the rest of the world. So, to me, this sounds like it would work, but it sounds like it might be potentially dangerous. And that's based off literally nothing besides my opinions on children's movies. But just like how in Wreck-It Ralph, doing this caused glitching, I wonder if doing this to a person might cause blockages in energy flow or might just cause other issues, which, again, don't get your religious advice from Wreck-It Ralph. That's really hard to process. I wouldn't want to erase everything. Like when I was a kid, I liked to catch fireflies and stuff like that, and like I'm always gonna look back and remember those memories, and I'll remember going to the lake in the summer and stuff like that. But I wish I could forget like bullying and forget a lot of a lot of stuff. I know it's yeah, Wreck-It Ralph is awesome. I like that movie a lot. I didn't like the new one though. I didn't like Ralph Breaks the Internet. But I really wish I could remember the good parts of my childhood and forget the bad. And I know that's all anyone wants. And I also know scientifically that's what happens. Like when you ask someone who's older about their childhood, they'll very most of the time they'll remember the good things more than they remember the bad. Now, of course, that doesn't count like trauma. Like if you nearly get hit by a train or a car, you'll probably remember that for the rest of your life because it's traumatic. But I like to tell myself in like 30 years, I'll probably be a lot happier than I am now because I'll have more distance between me and a lot of stuff that's happened. But yeah, I don't know, I meditate fairly often. I might try a meditation where I put all my sadness in a box because that sounds kind of nice. I'll let everyone know how it goes. These spirits. What does this website say about spirits? Come on. Yeah, there we go. Spirits communicate through vibration. Dogs speak. Spirits are like dogs. That makes sense. It's like, well, I think dogs use body language though. People use that too, and I don't pick up on body language, so it just confuses me. But I so you have to like teach yourself. If you teach yourself to communicate with spirits, you'll be able to. Sorry, I keep making like disgusting noises with my throat and my stomach. I'm not feeling well right now. You can speak with spirits with telepathy. At the cinema when it comes to internet, I liked it not a lot. I really liked Zootopia and I really liked Coco, and both of them had a very similar. I don't say a similar ending, but I feel like both of them pulled off a similar twist at the ending, and I really liked. I really got emotional with Coco, where with Zootopia, I got really like immersed in the world. I agree, both of those movies are really good. I'm someone who's fortunate enough to have Disney Plus, and I've watched those a lot. Well, we've reviewed what this website thinks about vampires, spirits, everything. So I'm probably gonna move on from this website to the next one. And this next one isn't a website about vampires. This is a website about vampire religious passages. So the last two websites I looked at, the first one, which I've done a bunch of streams today. So if you just joined this stream, the first one I looked at was describing vampirism as a physical medical condition caused by a retrovirus called that they were calling VHERV. Or if I'm pronouncing that wrong, sorry, I struggle with pronunciation. The second one was looking at vampirism as a spiritual thing caused by having a vampire soul that keeps reincarnating in human bodies. Now, this third one is about what different vampire covens would do as religious passages. Not religious passages, as religious events. We have Disney Plus in Poland. Oh, that sucks. I'm really sorry to hear that. I hope maybe in places where there isn't Disney Plus, are Disney movies available on other places like Netflix or Hulu, or is it just not available? Because it'd suck if they're just not available. But yeah, this website, it's about different vampiric rites you could go through in a spiritual vampire group. So this one is about vampire as a religion, as opposed to spiritualism or biological. So there's the rite of dedication, which I'm not going to go through all these because they're really long. You can see the scroll bar on the side how big it is. But they have instructions on how to perform a rite of dedication, which would dedicate you to like a coven of vampires. And I believe in here they have like a yeah, the sanguine initiation, which is if you're part of a sanguine community, which is a community of vampires who drink blood. They have a different rite. And all of these websites, oh, you have to go? Well, thank you for tuning in, Jack. I hope you have a great weekend. Or if you're in like Australia or something where it's almost the weekend's almost over, I hope you have a great week. I'm bad with time zones, so just have a great day, man. Thanks for popping in. But all the websites I've put in the description, so if you'd like to visit this and actually read out every single word of the whole website, you can absolutely go ahead. And these will give you instructions on how to do different rituals. So you have like mentors and students. This is all part of, you'd be part of an organized coven here. And first degree initiation, like you can go up in degrees. I know in a lot of covens for witches, it's like a year and a day. Like if you practice with the coven for a year and a day, you level up in the coven. And then eventually you reach like the top group, which I think some people it's after 3 years and some people it's after 4 years. But eventually you reach the highest group, and then you help initiate younger people. So it seems like vampirism is kind of similar, but again, this is vampirism as a religion, just like high priest and high priestess are also common in a lot of witchcraft covens. So this is probably closer to witchcraft than it is to the vampirism discussed on other sites that we have looked at today. But it's still interesting. So the Ankh or other symbol, if you've watched any of those BuzzFeed videos on vampires, which I have because I've been obsessed with vampires my whole life. When I was in elementary school, I wanted to be a vampire. Middle school, I wanted to be one. In middle school, I watched all the BuzzFeed videos on vampires, and there's one where this woman gets vampire teeth made professionally for her, and they're actually for her by a guy who runs a website we're going to look at later. This guy, um, Sabretooth Fang's father Sebastian, he makes fangs, and when he initiates someone into his vampire thing, they actually do give them an Ankh. So I think the Ankh might be a common symbol in vampire communities, symbolizing symbolizing the vampire stuff. Which I don't know what the Ankh means to Egyptians. I know it's originally an Egyptian symbol. Um, if it has, I think it has to do with the afterlife, though. So if it does, that would explain why a lot of vampires really like that symbol, because though vampires are not literally undead, they they draw upon that symbology, mythology, stuff like that. It's really cool. So that ends this symbol. So here, the next thing we're looking at vampire marriage or sharing of life, and those are right. So basically, they're married by a vampire priest instead of another priest from any other religion. Yeah, so it just looks like some vows. The best man brings forth wine. Chalice, red wine. Red wine represents blood. It's really cool. So they drink some wine together, and yeah, they drink from the chalice. If there was an exchange of rings, my eyes must have skipped over it, but everyone says forever. That's cute. I like that. So here's naming a child, dedication of the child. So I guess this would be the vampiric version of like the Christian baptism or something like that, welcoming a soul into the community. When I go to church, baptism is really a big part of the community, where everyone in the church who's there at the time has to vow to protect the child and raise them right. And it looks like right here, the whole community of vampires is gonna help. Right now, it's just parents. Where's community? It's oh, the mother shares the name. I wonder in a lesbian couple or in a gay couple, I wonder how they would decide who presents the name. That's not a criticism. I want to share. Most of the same person's third grade. Vitality and immortality. Okay, yeah, immortality. That's probably why the vampires are after that one. Um, yeah, obsessed with vampires since third grade. I do not remember when I first became obsessed with vampires, but when I was in elementary school, there was this book series called like My Sister the Vampire, and it was about this girl, I forget her name, and she had a half sister or even a full sister, I think, named Ivy O'Connor, and that girl was a vampire, and it was about her. I think they were twins. Yeah, they were twins, I guess. So they were full sisters, but one of them was adopted, And it was just really cool. I loved it. And then in middle school, I fell in love with this book series called the House of Night book series, which is about a girl named Zoe Redbird who is a vampire genetically through her grandmother, because it like skips a generation. And both of these books I really like because they take you into a vampire world. Like in this first one, you're a human girl looking in as an outsider into the vampire world through your family. And in the second book, it's about this girl who is a vampire, and she gets sent to a vampire boarding school and is immersed in the world, sort of like how in the Harry Potter books, through Harry, someone who was raised a muggle, you become immersed in the wizarding world by going to the school. Um, House of Night is a really good book series. I love it. I mean, I'm sure if I reread it now, I'd like it a lot less because it's very just like how the first book series is really for elementary schoolers. This book series is really for middle schoolers. I'm sure when I'm older, I'll probably look back at the stuff I liked in high school and say, "Oh, it's a little bit dated now," you know. But there's House of Night. I'm glad you also like that one. Yeah, I huge fan of those. I read those all through middle school. And I still honestly I have House of Night wiki pages still bookmarked on like different parts of my computers. 'Cause I love even though I no longer read the books, I still like to go back and read from the world building. I've never read the Vampire Chronicles. People tell me I should read those. At some point I probably will. I've also never read Twilight, and I don't think I'll read it because I've seen a few of the movies and it didn't really like speak to me, but I'm always looking for more vampire stuff. I love vampires. So they named the kid. He's a rite of familiar bonds. So, interesting. Vampire Almanac. I might have to look for this Vampire Almanac book, 'cause that sounds like something I would read. And they're comparing vampire groups to Wiccan covens, which I've already seen those. I've already seen those parallels here. And because you said that you like the House of Night series, you know that drew a lot on Wicca and paganism. So that's really cool. So this would be how you make like a vampire coven or tribe or clan. It's nice. Oh, nice. Promising of a donor. So this would be a yeah. Honestly, right now my town's local library isn't charging late fees because of the pandemic and because of other stuff. So I might go down to the library and see if they have those. Especially since school's getting out soon, I'm gonna have so much free time in the summer. I might pick up some good books. Yeah, I've never. You've also never read Twilight. I don't know anyone like in my personal life who likes the Twilight books, so I wouldn't be able to say, oh, my friend says this one book's really good. So I don't really yeah I don't really I've never met someone in person that I'm friends with who likes Twilight. I've met people that like are just people that go to the same school as me who like Twilight. So the promising of a donor. So this would be when someone plans to give blood to the vampires, they can also get sworn into the community. This is cool. When I picked out all these sites, I really skimmed through them. So I am having like a serious reaction to all this saying like, wow, I didn't know there were so many vampire rituals. Like I didn't. It's cool they're talking about energy work because the second website we saw talked about that while the first one didn't. Rite of the Dead. Is this like a funeral or is this like grave lying? Because grave lying, you're still alive. I've done things close to grave lying in my lifetime. So that's books and movies, vampires are immortal, but a life that does not end except through violent circumstances. As vampires, we do not lay claim to immortality of the physical body, but we do believe in immortality of the soul. That's nice, and that reflects the last website. I personally, with my own beliefs, which I'm not trying to force on my audience, I personally believe all souls are immortal in one form or another, but it might not be exactly the same soul. Like, I sort of compare it to snow. Like, when it snows, you build a snowman, and then the snow melts, and it becomes water, and the water goes up into the sky. And then the next winter it snows again, you build another snowman. It's made from the same waters. Not from the exact same water, but all water in the world at some point will be snow, and all snow in the world at some point will be water. That's sort of how I see souls. Like I feel like just like how there's a water cycle, I believe there is a soul cycle, but it isn't direct. Like I was this person in my past life, and now I'm this person in my own life. I feel like just like the same water droplet might never be paired with other water drop. Like if you have two water droplets, they might be in a snowman once together and then never be together ever again. They might be in different parts of the cycle forever. I sort of see that with my soul, which Agree to disagree. You feel like a rich person because you buy books. I've bought some books. I get a lot of my family members give me like Amazon gift cards for Christmas and birthdays, so I buy books on Amazon. Is that it? The reason why I like to buy books, well, I don't think it's egotistical. I think it's nice to buy books because then you don't feel guilty when you do stuff to them. Like if I buy a book and I really like one page, I can highlight it or I can doggy ear it so I can always flip right back to it. Like I have this book of poetry, and my favorite poem is "I Wish I Was by That Dim Lake" by Thomas Moore. And I have that page dog eared because I want to be able to just grab my book and open to it because I love that poem. And because I own that book of poems, I can dog ear the pages. No one's going to stop me. So I think there's nothing wrong with wanting to own a book. Owning a good book lets you do whatever the heck you want. So yeah, this sounds like you'd meet at a funeral home the same way like any other religion would, but just the words are different. I'm assuming this will talk a lot about reincarnation and the soul because yeah, which my grandpa was a Christian and he was very much so a Christian. Like he's even performed exorcisms and stuff in his lifetime. And when he died, he had very strange instructions for his family at his funeral. I was 4 when he died, so I don't remember it, but my family has complained about it where at his funeral he didn't want people to talk about him after the funeral ended. He wanted the reception, everything. Those people, he wanted them to just celebrate being around family and not talk about him, which it's like if you all meet up because he's dead, it's kind of weird not to address why you're all there. So with these talking about seeing another life, I feel like this is a less intense version of what my grandpa did, where these people are saying we won't forget you, but we know you'll come back. Where my grandpa was kind of like, just don't worry about the fact I'm dead. Don't think about it, you know. And everyone offers energy for the deceased. That all of this seems to be very energy work. Oh, that was the last vampire ritual. Well, these are all very interesting. I like the idea of looking at vampirism through a more religious look because I like looking at similarities and differences in religion. So this was nice. This website as a whole seems really cool. Like, pardon, let me scroll up more efficiently. This whole website, the sacredtext.com, if you go to the main page, you can read stuff from so many different religions. And because not all these are religion, like LGBT isn't a religion. Like, hello, what's your religion? I'm transgender. you know, no, I just. But yeah, this is a website I'm planning on returning to in the future because I'm a big fan of religion. So I'm gonna pop back over here. My family is Christian. It's Poland style, obvious. We don't exercise people. Yeah, I live in America, and there's so much variety in Christianity in America because we have a lot of Christians that are like everything is okay. We support gay people, we support this and that, and then we also have Christians that are like very backwards thinking and act like we're still in the Middle Ages, which obviously I prefer the modern Christians a lot more. But yeah, my grandpa was not backwards, but it really is different congregation to congregation. Like if you're from an evangelical background, you believe in exorcisms and speaking in tongues, and if you're from a Baptist background, you might not, but you'd believe in more energy and like spirit stuff. And if you're Presbyterian, what you believe really depends on your own community because Presbyterian means governed by the elders. So the elders in your own community determine what your church believes. And I have family members that are from many different groups of Christianity. It's mostly Presbyterian, Catholic, and evangelical. Not evangelical. I said evangelical earlier. I meant Pentecostal. If you're Pentecostal, you'll speak in tongues and believe in exorcism. Or if you're evangelical, that just evangelical is just non-denominational, but I want to spread the word more. Racially and religiously homogeneous. Yeah, I know. I haven't been in Europe very much. When I was younger, I lived in Germany for 6 months with my family, and I'm of mostly German descent. On my dad's side, 100% German descent, and then on my mom's side, a bunch of everything, even ethnically. And I've only ever been to like Germany, Austria, France, and Switzerland. So I haven't ever been to Poland and other places, but I've always wanted to visit a lot of European countries because of how different they are from America. I want to travel a lot. I also want to visit a lot of places in Asia, and then a lot of places in like Central America. But when I'm like older, 'cause I don't want to say when I grow up because I'm 18, but when I'm out of college, out of high school, I really want to travel and go to other countries because it really is crazy how different America is from a lot of other countries in the world, and I'd like to be able to experience a lot of these differences firsthand. I keep going off on random tangents, but yeah, after the tangent of I wanna travel, this is the Black Veil, which is by Father Sebastian, who has saber-tooth fangs. Which this is a company. This is not a uh, sorry. This is a company. This is not a view on real vampirism. This is part of the vampire community, which the vampire community includes everyone. Like I said, technically, people who watch this live stream are part of the vampire community. But some people in the vampire community are called lifestylers, which are people who like the vampire lifestyle. And a lot of these people, sorry, I'm feeling lung issues again. A lot of these people wear vampire fangs or dress like vampires. And this company, Sabretooth Fangs, they sell fangs, and in my opinion, a lot of them look really good. Like if we pop over to Fang Styles, if I had, well, look at these. So these are temporary. They describe them here. They you're not supposed to sleep or eat with them. They just pop in and out basically, and I I think they look really neat. Um, I'm planning on getting a job this summer as a lifeguard, so I'll be out of school. I'm like, if I make enough money, well, no, because I'd have to fly out for a real life interview. Never mind. See, I live in I live in Kansas. All the cool stuff is in like California and New York, but I really like the ones on the bottom row. I like how the double fang stuff looks. If I lived on the coasts and I had enough money, I would totally get these fangs because they're temporary. You can take them in and out. Like I could literally take them out for school and then like go home, put them on, just like play around in my room, just vibe. When I'm an adult, I'm probably gonna buy vampire teeth because that's the kind of dorky stuff I'm into. I travel too. Once once the pandemic is over, I hope that a lot of people are able to travel when they want to. Because my family was planning on returning to Germany um last summer, the summer before my senior year of high school, and we were unable to because of the pandemic. And we'd been looking forward basically ever since our last trip to Germany. We were like, we'll return right before I graduate because it's not like I'm like being pulled out of school. It's complicated, but basically, yeah, for like 6 years we planned this cool vacation, and then the pandemic ruined it. So as soon as the pandemic's over, I'm hopping on a plane to Germany. I hope you're able to travel soon. Also, America's boring. I know you're in Poland, not America. I'm just sharing. Um, yeah, when I'm an adult and I have a disposable income, I'm probably gonna buy fangs. It's like I have a friend who's an adult and he buys a lot of Lego sets because he can. And like that's kind of what I'm gonna do. It's like if I can, I will. But here they do have a little bit of lifestyle and culture with their Fang website. Here's a video which I'm not gonna review because the rules YouTube has about like reviewing videos is kind of different. I don't want to break any copyright rules. But when you basically they compare the Matrix to the Fangs. So it's like when you put in Fangs, you start looking at the world through a different light. It's like taking the red pill. And I think this is from the BuzzFeed video where the woman gets fangs. If you check out the BuzzFeed video where a woman gets real vampire fangs, they will show this ritual. But they say some funny they say a funny oath, and then they pick out a name from a book of gods. They like find an ancient god's name, and it becomes their vampire name. Which, if I remember correctly, the woman in the video got like the name like Zintheon or something, and because she's a woman, she decided to go by Zintheana, which I think is such a cool name. Like Zintheana sounds epic. And then they get an Ankh, which I brought up earlier. Like a lot of vampires love the Ankh. Look in the mirror. The Oracle. I don't remember the Oracle being in the BuzzFeed video, just the mirror and like the Ankh. Yeah, the naming coming soon. They did the naming in the video. I just described it. They touch a random name in a book, and the Ankh, they wear the Ankh. And are you real vampires? They consider vampirism a philosophy, and it's like how you see the world and stuff. Where their philosophy is to live and to have a hunger for life and to really engage with life and enjoy life and practice a very active life instead of a passive life. And then they talk about awakening is when you start living your active life, which is different than how two other, well, I guess technically the first two sites defined awakening the same way at one point, but also one of the sites had multiple definitions for awakening. And then the last site never mentioned awakening, it just talked about rituals. So I think it's cool that for them, awakening is just choosing to look at life through a brighter lens. And a lot of people do that after getting fangs, which, if getting vampire fangs makes you happy, sign me up. Besides the rite of transformation, what was the other one? Oh, we can read about their clan themselves. Oh, it's a forum. I'm not going to go on here. I just personally not really interested. Let's look at the I've permanent fangs. They don't do, which I've read this page before. 'Cause at one point I was like shopping for fang stuff, but they can recommend you to dentists that'll file your teeth into permanent fangs. Let's look at client gallery. Let's see some fangs. Oh, a lot of these look supernatural. Not supernatural like supernatural, but supernatural like they look very legitimate. Ooh, with the contacts, this looks so cool. Yeah, that's nice. I'm gonna pop back to the chat. I'm 19, so I should find. Honestly, I don't know how it works in Poland, but you could see if any of your colleges offer jobs to students. Because a lot of times in America, they'll do that. Like, if your college has a library, they will give a student a job as a librarian, and you can actually make money working on your own campus. Like, my mom worked in a library in college, and then she started volunteering at libraries in town, and now she has a job as an assistant librarian. Like, she just, over the last, like, 30 years or so, worked her way up. But I don't know. I personally want to try to get a job in college through the campus, like either working in the library or working in the cafeteria, or working in the gym. Because if I'm already going to be living on campus, might as well also be working on campus. Again, I don't know if that would be traditionally offered in universities in Poland, but I know that with the internet and with a lot of other stuff, more and more people, more and more places in the world are becoming interesting. Oh, you don't do that? Oof, that sucks. Well, that sucks. Like, I know you can still get a job elsewhere. I was starting to wonder, like I was trying to talk myself into believing that that would be a more common thing. So I'm wondering if that'll ever spread. Like just like it's like how now there's like McDonald's everywhere, now there's Starbucks everywhere. Like you could plot me in some random country and there'd probably be a Starbucks. I'm wondering if in the future, like on campus jobs will spread. So in my opinion, it's quite efficient to find something on your own. Well, I wish you luck. I hope you do find something really nice. But I hope that idea spreads because it also makes it easier for other students. Like if you're looks okay here. Okay. I'm basically guaranteed to be a lifeguard this summer because most of the lifeguards quit last summer due to pandemic. I mean, honestly though, I wish our country had free healthcare. That's like I'm so jealous of Canada and like Sweden and all the other ones. This has no data. Bro, don't shut down my stream. I want to talk about healthcare. Basically, I think free healthcare is great, and I think America should have it. I don't know if any of this is going to be visible or if it's going to get cut off by the by the stream. I'm just gonna drink a little bit of water and wait. You know what? Here are some things that I think Europe does way better than America. Public transportation. When I was in Germany, like every 5 minutes there'd be a subway, a bus, or tram, like basically, and they'd all have these big screens that tell you when the next one would be there, and they would update based on how far away it is. So if there was like an accident or something, and because of that the bus had to go a different route, it would update how long it would be. Where in America, or at least in the town where I live, buses come once on like some lines. This is the specific town I live. Once an hour on some lines, twice an hour on other lines. They only tell you when the bus will be at the each end of the stop, so you have to guess based on how far you are along the line when it will show up. And they're often late. or early. Yeah, I actually my mom watches a lot of YouTubers that are that are German because like that. Yeah, free uni, I agree, is awesome. But the transport in Germany, I could basically get across. When I lived in Germany, I lived in Munich. I could get across town like so easily. I could just show up, have them scan my little like transport card, and then I'd go. Where now in America, it's like I just like sit on the side of the road and wait for a bus to show up, and then it shows up like an hour after I wanted it to, and then I get to go downtown, and then I have to wait for a bus to come back home. And then in my specific city, we don't have streetcars and we don't have subways. We do have taxis, but like that's not technically public transportation. And then of course now everyone has Uber and Lyft, but I don't trust that. Like I don't want to get in a stranger's car. So yeah, Germany and Europe overall. Oh, cool! I have a good connection again. Well, anyway, public transport is great. Free healthcare is great. Free college is great, which I think that's if you get certain grades, it's free. Or the way it was described in Germany is if you're already in like gymnasium, like the highest track school, and you have good grades, then certain colleges will reach out to you and tell you you're eligible. Which, for all I know, it's different in Poland. Most of my knowledge of Europe is about Germany. A bird just flew by my window. Um, but yeah, I think Europe is great, and I don't think I'd ever move to like a foreign country to live full time because I have family members that have moved to live in other countries. Like my uncle moved to France and then applied for dual citizenship, and he's married a French woman, and he works. I believe he has some sort of job that has something to do with like some power plant. So he's like heavily ingrained in like France. He's providing power to like towns. Well, not like he's the sole one doing it. Oh, basically, I have family members who have started lives in other countries and they're like really happy. I don't know if I would ever do that. Like my uncle just went and decided to go live as a Frenchman, and he's having a great time. He has a lovely house in the mountains in Saint Élienne de Croissy. He has a job. He's great. And then I've a family member who moved to Australia, which I know it's different because they speak English, but I have a lot of family members that just moved to other countries and gained citizenship there. You can go to a private one. That's sort of how it is here too. Like in America, for pre-college schools, you have like private schools that cost a lot, and you have public schools that they still do like they still do cost stuff, but like way less, relatively cheap. Yeah, that's good. I'm sure it's cheaper than college in America. I don't know. I don't know if I'd ever move to Europe and just like live there, and when my other family members have. But there have been times where I've thought about it. Stop showing me widget stuff. Anyway, back to vampires. After my rant about how I want to move, um, this is the Black Veil vampire thing, which is related to Father Sebastian, and the Black Veil was a term used by Sanguinarius, which I may or may not go over that website. I don't want to force their stuff out into the open because they were writing stuff about secrecy and stuff like that. And I'd like to. I'll provide a link because I found this website through a link that someone sent me. So might as well put the link in my YouTube description. But I'm not gonna read through it on YouTube. I'll X out. I'll let people read it themselves because I'd like to respect the author. So there's Are Vampires Real? Yeah, so this is written by the person who we just went through their website about his website about making fangs, and he talks about energy feeding, which is connected to the Awake and Drink site that we looked over. Awakening is an understanding one's nature and of their need for energy. All right, so all of this actually is the same as Awake and Drink, and it's a little bit different than what was on the Fang website run by this same person. Because on the Fang website, they were saying it's more like a philosophy and tying it into energy. It looks like here it's all about energy and about you already are one, and once you get your fangs, you awaken. And it was also all about energy on the ritual site we looked at. So on the ritual site, they were talking about how the priest would bind people in marriage and energy, and they'd all put energy into the dead for the funeral, and how they'd all put energy into the child for the baptism, like the naming. So it looks like, except for the first website we looked at, which called Vampirism a Virus, at first I was thinking, wow, it's kind of weird the second site contradicts it, but it looks like that site was actually contradicting all the other websites. Which that's the website that the first one looked at today, which was in like the first stream. That's the website I saw in middle school. So I guess the way I've been looking at the vampire community for the past like 6 years is different than how the average person in the vampire community would look at it. The stuff Logan South describes is way closer to the last three sites we've looked at than the first one. Logan South, his video, like top 10 questions for a real vampire, popped up on YouTube when I typed in like vampire into YouTube. And because I love vampires, of course I Googled vampire, you know? So, yeah, it looks like the real vampire community is really close to like the Logan South stuff, close to all this stuff. Going elsewhere. Hey, yeah, I had a really great time talking to you. I hope you have a great day, great weekend. And I'm not going to force you to study for your exams, but like, hey. That's cool. So lifestylers, which have been mentioned on other sites, are individuals who embrace and incorporate vampire archetype in their lifestyle, which some of them are awakened or unawakened vampires, but most aren't. And you're also black swans, which I mentioned on a different website, who love the aesthetic and embrace the elements. I like that. So like black swans, goths, and vampires are all different groups with their own beliefs and other stuff, but there's a lot of overlap between the three. I like how this website is saying that some lifestylers are awakened or unawakened vampires, because in a lot of the first two other sites are like all people who are part of the culture and the lifestyle are posers, where here they're saying it's like, hey, some people like the vampire lifestyle and are real vampires. Black swans, that's cool. They're people who are donors and friends and family, which the first website, the way they defined slayers, I think Black Swan is how all the other people are using the word slayer, because Wake and Drink defined slayer as a hunter, which the first website differentiated between the two. Can a vampire turn you? Well, the first website said yes, and the rest have said. Well, I guess technically the ritual one said yes, because it said you could be dedicated into a coven and exchange blood and join the coven. So, potentially. This one is saying this one, pardon my stutter, is saying that you must have a dormant potential, which a vampire most often has to be born with, but they say most often, which makes me think they don't always have to be born with that. Where it seems like Awakened Drink said you do have to be born with it, you have to be reincarnated. And then the first one was saying you're either born with it or you can exchange blood. So this one is saying a deep communion of energies may awaken or trigger an awakening, which is supported by Awakened Drink, saying that being around vampires, especially if it's a close relationship, can do that. So this shapeshifting brings up astral shapeshifting, which I personally have done. Like if you meditate and do astral stuff, you can imagine your aura, your astral shape, and you can imagine it getting bigger, or you can imagine horns coming up out of it, or wings coming out of it. There's a specific shape that I've drawn. I've drawn it out, and when I meditate, when I do astral stuff, I push my energy into those shapes because that's how I want to be. That's how I want to feel. Like I make myself taller. I push energy out into two pairs of wings. I push energy out into horns that come out and in back up like that. And there's a few other changes, very few. Another one is I like having arms coming out of the back of my head. And I like having openings on my throat and on my forehead for energy to like push out of. Which this just makes me sound like I'm crazy. Anyone watching right now? Okay, there's no one watching right now. If someone was watching right now, they would just think I'm crazy. But it's energy. You can do whatever you want with energy. Like if I wanted, I could take the energy around my body and push it into the shape of like Peter Griffin from Family Guy, and I could be Peter Griffin. I know I keep bringing him up. He's been on my mind lately. Like sometimes I just sit down and I just think about Peter Griffin from Family Guy. Uh, are vampires at war with werewolves? Nope. And this role playing game was the one that was mentioned by the first website we talked about. It's saying that modern vampire culture often calls werewolves Therians. Some of them call it lycanthropy, which I brought up otherkin slash Therians. They're often lumped together in lycanthropy earlier when Jack Smith said I should do an episode on werewolves, and I think I will. Are vampires evil? No, we've already discussed this. Do vampires feed? Yes, we already discussed this one. Ambient feeding. That has not been discussed on any of these websites yet. I guess if you're in a busy area, you can just feed a little from everyone. I guess that's what I was describing Gala doing in an earlier episode. Not earlier episode. I guess, yeah, earlier episode. Surface feed, tactile feed. So this is like, if you like touch someone, you just sort of touch the exterior of their aura, and yeah, from a distance. So as you could sense something and touch it. Deep feeding taps the core and requires consent. Okay, well, I feel like maybe they're saying to do it morally requires consent. Because what I've talked about before with sending out tentacles into someone, what Awake and Drink talked about, I don't think there's any consent there. I think it's just taking someone's energy. So I think it is deep feeding, and it's just not morally correct deep feeding. And sanguine is just you drink blood. We've already discussed that. Can they fly? We already discussed that. Is it a religion? Not generally, but yeah. Which technically it can be. We just read a website where they did a vampiric form of paganism, which is like the House of Night series. I love the House of. I've already discussed this with chat. House of Night series is amazing. Everyone should go read it. If you're in middle school, it's probably in your middle school library. If you're in a public school in America, and you should read it. Do vampires worship Satan or Lucifer? And they say most do not. Yeah, just like normal people. Some people are Satanists or Luciferians, and not all Satanists and Luciferians actually believe in Satan and Lucifer. Some of them see them as an archetype, or whatever. Some actually do believe in it. Yeah. And they claim this, which I feel like, some vampires might. I wouldn't say many. Maybe I'm not like hip with it, but sounds like a lot of these vampire people are kind of hippies, like with all the energy work and stuff like that. All vampires goth. No. I think if you're a goth and a vampire, it would work really well together though. Because like with the first website, how it said if someone asks if you're a vampire, you have to respond the same way. If you're a goth and someone asks you if you're a vampire, like jokingly because you're goth, and you say yes jokingly because you're goth, like it's kind of a good cover. We've already discussed the sunlight, Um, okay, the hypnotic powers and charisma has been discussed on not the religious website, but the first one and Awake and Drink. So vampirewebsite.net and Awake and Drink both discussed it. Glamour and projecting. People also use this in witchcraft terms. Like you can set up a glamour as a witch. So this seems like it's part of energy work, which again isn't strictly for vampires, is also for witches. But I feel like glamour and projecting are different than the natural allure that was talked about both in vampirewebsite.net and in Awake and Drink. Real blood. Okay, see, this is where it differs from Awake and Drink. They say no. So I guess all these people would be hybrids or psi vampires. They have any superhuman powers. This one also contradicts the first website. The second website said that they have supernatural powers, but not superhuman powers. Immortal. No, everyone agrees it's not immortal. Um, yeah, this is just silly stuff. Um, yeah. So this mentions energy work, which is what I've been talking about this whole time. All three of these videos, I've been like, hey, I'm going to talk about. I have poor streaming quality again. I just want to talk about vampires. Like, jeez, f off YouTube. No, I'm just gonna keep going through this. I I don't know. I really don't know. Um, but yeah, it seems like a lot of vampires are drawn to a cult and drawn to energy work because it's second place, second hand. What's it called when something's natural to someone? Like, I think it's second nature. That's it, because it's second nature to them. Affected by silver? No, he'll prefer silver. Yeah, I love silver. I wear silver earrings. Do all vampires form covens? Nope, they're a lone vampire. Just like how not all Wiccans are and witches and pagans are part of covens. Some of them are solitary practitioners. So the vampire lifestyle community has titles and stuff, but average vampires don't. Which I believe Logan South is actually the vampire king of Austin, so he has a title. I'm not going to read about this one on YouTube because, yeah, fangs. Yeah, so not all vampires wear fangs, but a lot do, and it was written not a lot, but enough do that this guy sells fangs. It's Father Sebastian, he's the guy that was selling the fangs. So, oh, they have a mana. Oh, I'm not gonna take any courses because like that costs money. I don't want to pay for a class. Let's look at some history. Oh, so it was originally like a New York City lounge. So this is about the history of a specific place. Yeah. Well, personally, not very interested. I don't want to be rude, but because I don't live in New York and I never really plan to visit New York. Yeah, these are virtual ones. Tarot. Ooh, what do they say about tarot? I actually am a tarot reader. I read tarot. Oh, oh, they're just selling their own tarot deck. That's neat. I probably won't buy it because my current one works great, and I feel a deep connection to the symbols and like pictures on it. But it's neat. It's like again, I won't buy their books. I just want to look at what they're selling. Father Sebastian, Sabretooth Clan symbol. Yeah, it's nice. Um, let's look at the manifesto, I guess. This is how do I have to hold and click? See if I scroll down to get these, it goes past magazine. It's not taking me manifesto. Like, ooh, yeah, if I hold, it works. Let's read about the Ankh. The Ankh represents the culture of the Black Veils. And it's worn by the Sabretooth clan, the Black Swan. It's cool. It's an Egyptian hieroglyph of life, and many funerary arts gods and pharaohs with it because they're welcoming you in the afterlife, associated with death and rebirth, immortality, key to unlock the gates of death. Yeah, that makes sense why vampires would like it. Now, these Ankhs look very, it looks like an Ankh and a scythe, which I know the scythe is associated with death through the Grim Reaper and other stuff. So yeah, and this is really nice jewelry. Like if I saw someone walking around wearing this jewelry, I wouldn't think, oh, they're a vampire. I just think, oh, it's a really pretty necklace. I when I see someone that like has something really cool, I usually tell them, which might sound kind of creepy. But like, let's say I'm downtown at like a food truck festival or at like a concert. If I see someone with like really beautifully dyed hair, I might walk up to them and say, "Oh, I love your hair," like, "Oh, I love your earrings," you know. Um, I've complimented people in my town with strange jewelry before. Now I'm wondering if I might have actually interacted with vampires in my town when I was younger. So when I go out in public, hmm, I'm often I often find one person who I just feel like drawn to, and I end up talking to them and complimenting them. And because the symbol looks familiar, it's like, well, do I know it from BuzzFeed? Do I know it from my own town? I don't live anywhere near New York, but I might have met a vampire. Okay. Hmm. Yeah, the Ankh. I'm not gonna do Ankh tattoos. They're just gonna be that symbol, but on a tattoo. Oh, come on, there we go. Let's look at gathering energy. Oh, I don't like that. It says not secure. I'm not putting anything there. Okay. Um, maybe ritual and magic. Okay, it looks like you actually have to be part of the Black Veil to access this, which I'm not gonna sign up for that. So let's check the chat. Oh, I still have a poor stream status. Oh, never mind. Good connection. Um, I actually have to do something real quick. I don't want to end the stream. I'm gonna be right back. One of my friends told me that when I leave the stream and I come back, I should put like a second level or something to watch the stream for me. Just to look cute. So I'm gonna probably get someone. This is Mr. Perry, and I'm gonna be back in like just a second. So he's now in charge of the live stream. Let me get him the hat. One moment. back. Um, Mr. Perry says we still have good stream quality. That makes me happy. Um, hat back on. Go a little. There we go. So back to this. Okay, this one you might wonder, why is this called author? Basically, this was a real vampire website I got as a link from someone. So I told someone I knew that I was going to be making a video about real vampires. Well, technically, I told everyone I knew in my Discord server down below. But someone I told beforehand sent me some websites to check out. And this one, you had to go, like, you go to the main site and you have to click on a thing and then click on another. And eventually, at the author page, this is where there's other pages at the bottom. It's not just read through a page, click the bottom, read through a page, click the bottom, read through the page, click the bottom. This one, you can actually get to the rest of the site. So this person was a vampire, and they were born into a vampire community, vampire family. They also went to Germany, which is nice. Which I believe Steven from the first website we went to also was of German descent, but that might have been in when I was in middle school. Like I've said in the first stream and the second one, that website was very different than it was now. And there's one that had vampiric traits, other stuff, and yeah. This one talk about the mother having a rawer meat with them. That's how I like to eat. But this person, I don't know if they are a vampire believing it's through a genetic thing through their mother, or if they believe it's a spiritual thing through their mother. Which I don't, in my personal opinion, spiritual stuff doesn't pass down through family. Like religious beliefs from each other and different religious beliefs from me. So if they're with this being through the family, I'd say this might be evidence towards endogenic retroviruses. But I don't want to put words in this person's mouth and say, like, this person supports endogenic retroviruses. I don't know who they support. This person can communicate with animals, communicate with ghosts, which I can communicate with ghosts. Finding lost objects, I can't do that. I wish I could. Control of electronic devices, I can't. I can control my dreams on occasion. Foresee the future. I have seen glimpses of the future. Other people don't believe me. I've predicted the future correctly multiple times. I'm not really going to elaborate further because I don't want to sound like I'm like making a bunch of insane claims. But I have. But this person, I'm not saying I'm a vampire because this whole stream, I'm not trying to say I'm a vampire. I'm just researching them. But this person, what they're describing, lines up with what all the other websites say, and it also lines up with some experiences I have. So this website was updated a while ago, and so all the coming soon stuff doesn't look very good to me because, you know, how soon is soon after 2017? I think this website may be abandoned. So let's go through some common traits. Let's say as symptoms and context. Yeah, first, go and get any other symptoms, check out the doctor, then other stuff. So, y'all know what time it is. It's time for me to pull up the notepad and do another Does Ghost a Vampire? Oh, give me my notepad back. Does Ghost a Vampire? Part 3. Which I know this isn't, they're not saying like diagnosis stuff, and they're saying don't tell your doctor you crave blood, which maybe you should, because like what if it's a sign of iron deficiency, or I don't know. Tell your doctor what you feel safe telling your doctor. So, does Ghost a Vampire? Vampires are naturally nocturnal. They're more awake and alert at night. So it can cause sleep problems. I'm gonna say maybe, because again, it's like I struggle with lethargy all the time. Sensitive to sunlight and brightness. And I know a lot of them are the same from website to website, but it's still interesting to say different people read it. Enhanced physical senses, vision, hearing, smell, and taste, including night vision and hearing. They say hearing is enhanced, which I would consider a whisper or a buzz. Yeah, I can hear the buzz of lights. They mention a smell so strong we can taste it, which was mentioned on the first website, vampirewebsite.net. And so yeah, this is 2 for yes. I have superhuman senses. Faster and stronger, which again sounds like the first website. I think this might line up more with vampirewebsite.net than the others. But again, don't want to put words in their mouth. Faster and stronger. I'm gonna say no. I'm not very fast or strong. Reflexes, which again lines up at the first website. I have good reflexes. I'm clumsy, but I have good reflex. Like I'm clumsy as in like I walk in the walls and stuff, but then I'm always able to catch what I'm about to drop from walking. Actually, that's a maybe. I don't know if it's cheating to be clumsy and have good reflexes. Don't get sick as often, heal faster. That's a big no for me. I've been chronically sick for the last 7 years. Um, Psychic abilities and energy manipulation. Yeah, I have that, and I practice witchcraft. And what did I just on 3 or 4? I'm gonna say 4. I don't know if that's cheating. I forget. Let's count how many guesses. Yes, yes. Oh, so only 3. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, it'd be 3. Often vampires are drawn to the myths and source from vampires at a young age. Oh, that means Tamara, who was with us earlier, is probably not $4. I've been drawn to the vampire myth since I was extremely young, and it sounds like Tamara was the same. So perhaps she's a vampire. Perhaps we've met a Polish vampire today. I'm kind of joking around. I'm not saying you are a vampire. If you tune into my stream, you're a vampire. But hey, it'd be funny if someone was. Imagine all this talk about awakening on the web. Imagine if your first step to awakening is being called a vampire by some random American boy on YouTube. I'm joking around. Maintain healthy and balanced diet. Various gastrointestinal sensitivities and problems, such as food out. Yeah, this is me. Eating disorder. Yeah, so I've struggled with anorexia. I potentially have Crohn's disease. I'm allergic to soy, which is in everything in America because soy is subsidized. I may or may not have a gluten allergy. I can't eat bananas. There's a bunch of food I'm not allergic to, but I can't have. I'm allergic to chamomile. Lose interest in food. Yeah, I've had that. Yeah. I forget if I already marked yes for this. I'm just gonna say it. Wait, no. Okay. Let's count yeses. So, yes, 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 yes. That's 4. Yeah, all right, 5. Um, yeah, my whole life, food and eating has been just a huge pain in the booty. Um, Extreme swings in mood. Yeah, I do. I've been multiple times. My therapist one time diagnosed me with bipolar disorder, and then after getting to know me more, revoked the diagnosis and said I definitely don't have bipolar disorder, but she thought I did because of this. Depression, melancholy, sense of being different. Yeah, I think that might come from me being autistic though, because I've always felt left out because everyone communicates in a code I don't understand with body language, with other stuff. I've always been left out my whole life. I've been bullied since literally preschool. Um, so the 11th one, I'm gonna say yes, but I don't know if it's because I'm a vampire. I think it might just be because I have autism. Um, Above average intelligence. Yep, I was put in the gifted and talented class. Also, again, most of my family members say I'm smart because of my autism. So, mm. My uncle moved to France, also is on the spectrum. He's really smart. Like I said, he has an important job. Yeah, so once again, way more yes than no and maybe, and also more yes than no and maybe combined, which maybe is like a half yes, half no. So, am I a vampire? I don't know, but after today, it seems like I am more likely one than not one. So that was. What was this called? This was called traits. It's not visible down here. Pardon my voice. My voice like randomly changes throughout the day. It goes from really high to really low to really high again. It changes in gruffness and other stuff, and I can't control it. Like right now, it sounds completely different than it has for the rest of the streams. And it's 4 p.m., so it's just I just. The other day, my mom was like driving me somewhere in the afternoon, and she remarked that my voice sounded strange. And it's like, this is how I sound in the afternoon. Yeah. Oops. This just happens. Just ignore this. All this stuff, all the coming soon looks fun, but I doubt anything will be there. Frequently asked questions. Here we go. Da-na-na-na, bum, bum, bum. A lot of these questions look like they might be similar to Stephen's questions, but of course these are by a woman. All of these are questions that have been addressed on all other websites. Um, yeah, I've seen this addressed a lot. And they talked about auto vampirism on Awake and Drink, and I don't get it because, in my opinion, like drinking your own blood to get blood, you're letting out more blood, losing more blood before you drink it. So I don't get it. Yeah. Also, just don't cut yourself. Just don't do it. Please don't. Oh, okay. According to this person, this is so they don't believe in the endogenic retrovirus, and they don't believe in the. They believe that you're either born a vampire or you're not, which I think is really interesting. So I wonder, well, for all I know, they do believe it's genetic because their mom was and other stuff. So they might think that there are people who are genetically vampires and people who are genetically humans, and they're genetically similar enough to have kids, but only you can't be half vampire, you're either a vampire kid or a human kid. Because they said that their siblings were humans. This is interesting. This is like a third take on vampirism. Is there more than one kind of vampire? Yep, psychic and sanguinarian. The no goth thing. That's cool. Vampire types. Let's see how they define the different types. Because so far, the first two websites were really like judgmental of energy vampires, and then the second site. Well, I mean, the second site was like everything was okay until the energy vampires attacked. But yeah, it seems like. Sorry, I just had a weird sensation come over me. Yeah, it seems like this one might be different. So, okay. So this person seems to yeah, so basically, this person seems very respectful of psychic vampires, and they realize that sanguinarian vampires can do psychic stuff, which the second site acknowledged. I don't know how much the first site acknowledged it, because they didn't mention it. They mentioned physical stuff a lot. They did mention, like, spiritual stuff, like mesmerizing eyes and having clouds in your aura and stuff. And then the third site we looked at that was like religious stuff. I'm just checking this one. The third site we looked at was religious, mentioned energy a lot, and then the two sites that we just saw related to Father Sebastian, they both mentioned energy a lot, so that's nice. Let's look at some myths. Um, so they're saying that a lot of these vampire myths in the future will be scientifically explained. Not evil. Um, vampires were spreading rabies. Hee hee, funny. Ah, so they seem to be neutral on the. They're saying this is a myth, but they're also calling it a theory, just like theory of gravity, theory of evolution. So if I'm interpreting their words correctly, they think there might be credibility to the virus or retrovirus theory, but there's no proof either way. Allergic to garlic. I personally love garlic. That's just thing. Allergic to holy water. There's silver. Yeah, these are the same stuff every other website talks about. Line of salt. I know this is for demons, but yeah, I mean, in the Bible they mention salt a lot. All across wild roses. I've never heard of this one. This is a really cool vampire lore I've never heard of before. So apparently, if you plant wild roses around your home, like I guess if you plant them, they're not wild. I guess if you place branches from wild rose around your home, vampires can't come in. Okay, this unable to cross running water. The first website, or either the first or the second, they're all blending together in my head now, said that vampires cross running water super quickly and are really good at it. That's strange. But both the Greeks and the Chinese believed that. It's very strange. Shape shifting, yeah. But, yeah. Immortal, we've already discussed. Fangs, already discussed. This, we've already discussed. Sparkle, Twilight, Twilight. Yeah. So originally people were like, vampires have to sleep in the day. And Stephanie Meyer's like, vampires don't sleep. It's just, okay. Energy work. This will be fun. Oh, center and grounding. Yeah, I do this. I do this in like witchcraft. I have pages in my book about it. So this looks to be just instructions on stuff that people with eyeballs, and that was in the first website. Yeah, yeah, the first website did talk about energy because they talked about psychic ability. Because I talked about eyeballs, and I talked about how I could make Peter Griffin. So I keep bringing that up. Shielding. I've done shielding before. I've done all of these before, just in witchcraft practice, actually. So anyone who's an energy worker or aspiring energy worker, in the description there's a link to this website. All of this is like legitimate stuff that modern religions believe in. You should check it out. Okay, recipes. Ooh, sounds fun. I might have to try something out. Blood pancakes. Like earlier today, I had chocolate pancakes. Like I made myself eat one because I was forcing myself to eat. But yeah. Okay, well it's pork blood. I guess they cook it. I still, if I were to do a recipe, I'd substitute pork blood for like cow blood or something because I fear pork blood. I have this irrational fear of like tapeworms. It's irrational. I read this story once, and when I was really young. Oh, my status is poor. I'm just gonna keep going and see what happens. So far, it's worked out. When I was really young, I read this horror story on the internet about tapeworms, and I'm not gonna share the plot of it here because it's deeply disturbing. And I believe that it traumatized me against tapeworms. And I've also taken classes on human anatomy and physiology and animal anatomy and physiology. And everything I've learned about tapeworms, I am terrified of them. Like, I I am so afraid of tapeworms and flatworms and other internal parasites. It's something my therapist works with me on because I have these like irrational fears. I do eat pork. I eat pork, but after I eat pork, there have been times where I get this like intrusive thought I can't shake to make myself throw up after I eat pork because I'm terrified of tapeworms. And I know almost all pork in the United States is completely safe from tapeworms because we protect people against that. But I know you can get worms from dogs. Like if a dog licks you on your mouth, you can get worms, and those worms can go into your brain and give you a version of epilepsy that isn't photosensitive. It's random because it's caused by the worm movement. And I know someone in real life who has this form of epilepsy from worms from his childhood dog. He's in his 30s right now, but he got it as a kid. And we also learned about that epilepsy in school. So I was like, oh, that guy wasn't BSing me. That guy was being honest. So I learned about it in my animal science class. But sorry, I know it's like, homie, ghost. You literally read the words pork blood. Stop freaking out. I have a very, very like terrible fear of parasites. It's something I can't. I'm mentally ill. Like pork and sheep blood. See, this sounds more reasonable. Blood bread. A lot of this is something that I might be interested in trying. Just like I might be interested in trying the Eastern European blood soup that we read about on the earlier websites. Yeah, bacteria and parasites. This is that's what I'm afraid of. Yeah, a lot of raw or meat and blood dishes I'd love to try, like blood sausage, stuff like that. But I have a lot of fear in my life. So these links to other sites. Oh wow, wait. Oh, okay. I didn't know that this website had this. I wonder if any of these will be other stuff I can like I don't know because I don't know. I've been doing the stream for a long time. Like I've been doing it since the morning and it's almost like 5 p.m. And I should be studying. So I'm probably not going to go through these other websites. I'll just go through the websites I prepared today. Um Lex One Haven, yeah, I've heard about that one. It's a web ring. Oh, I don't even know. Oh, I guess it's like It's like you have a website and other websites connect you to those and those connect you to those and those like in a circle and this is part of it and here's another one. Okay. Origin theories coming soon. Yeah, yeah. We're probably never gonna see that. They said recipes coming soon and there were recipes, so let's try diseases. Okay. We got a recipes. Oh wait, so recipes coming soon is different. But up here we access recipes. We don't see it now. All right. Well, anyway, I think we've exhausted this website fully. So by light unseen. Ah, this one's really bright. Also, by light unseen, more like by light I can see, and I'm seeing too much of it. I don't like this. This is a resource for those exploring the deeper implications, philosophical, spiritual, and practical of real life. Oh, I'm losing my voice, aren't I? Of real life vampirism and its relationship to. Oh no, have I been doing streaming so much that I just fully lost my voice? History, tradition, and culture. This website shares some of the knowledge and wisdom I have earned. So that's cool. They have a publishing company. Let's folklore and science time. Alright, so this all three of these have actually been addressed in earlier websites we saw. I'm just losing my voice. So interesting. Basically, there's a variety of different things explained by incubi and succubi, ghosts, monsters, a variety of things were all attributed to vampires, and that created a vampire lore. And they talk about how vampires had an insatiable appetite for food, drink, and for this, which that would make me not a vampire because I have zero desire for that. So I don't know. It looks like vampires would go after that, which, like I said earlier, I don't approve of the concept of virginity. Within magic, virginity has to do with spirit work, and if you've used your spirit before to do stuff like light candles, draw blood, other stuff here. Oh, they talk about ghosts. So vampires are actually hot because they're young people that died young, and they'd return, and they'd have a hunger for all things in life, like food, drink, alcohol, and sex. So it's interesting. So next, vampirism became a metaphor. So vampirism would be extending your own existence at the expense of others. So stealing from others, both energy or just food, or killing someone so that you can live. That, and then literature made it more complicated. So I've actually heard about the universal vampire belief before, where it's every culture has their own version of the vampire within their culture, therefore vampires must be real. And these people are saying that that's BS, and that different cultures have complex histories, and a lot of people who study different cultures project their own cultural beliefs onto things. Like, if a culture has a creature that drinks blood that's connected to a specific god, tied into this whole mythology, and we say that's a kind of vampire, that's offensive because we're discrediting this entire different thing connected to different religious beliefs, and we're looking at it through a Eurocentric gaze. And I agree with this. I believe that we shouldn't really push Western ideas of vampirism onto on other countries. The new vampire. What's this? Oh, cool. So yeah, there are people that are vampires being brought up now, and there are also vampires are being sympathized with in the media instead of being the villain. Now they're the anti-hero and they're the sexy bad boy. Psychic vampires were seen as occult villains, and now they're just people who need energy. Okay, I don't think there's something wrong with them. I don't believe in the leaky aura. I think that they just need energy because they're expending more than they're taking in. really cool. George W. Bush is a vampire confirmed. I meant to do George W. Bush is a vampire confirmed. Ah, this is interesting. I like how this site agrees with some things and doesn't agree with agrees with some of the websites we've seen before, and then directly disagrees with some of the websites we've seen before. I think this is a very great website. So um, Real Vampires Revisited. What's that? Even though all vampires are female, no. Uh, I had no idea. Okay, so here they wrote a book and they used female pronouns to be gender neutral instead of male pronouns to be gender neutral, which yeah, it always bothers me when both of those happen. Like when I'm reading a book and it says like he when it should be saying one or they or whatever. Like when you're reading a book about like, oh, a gardener might wish that his garden was like blah blah. It's like no, say a gardener might wish that their garden was like blah 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 blah. Because not everyone who gardens is a male, and that's my example. Is um, it's hey, my voice is coming back. So this person wrote a book in the 80s where they used she as the neutral pronoun, and that confused people, which, yeah, I think using she as a neutral pronoun is just as dumb as using he as a neutral pronoun, because we have a neutral pronoun, and it's they. It's like when you're watching one of those dumb orientation videos for a new job, and they're like, an employee might find themselves asking what he or she should do. It's like they literally said it themselves. And then they say he or she, he or she. Just say they. Whatever. Um, all vampires drink blood. There's no such psychic vampire, and they stand by those statements, which that goes back to Awake and Drink. How psychic vampires are real people, but they're not a kind of vampire. They're energy workers. That's cool. Yeah, it looks like these people are saying the exact same kind of stuff that were said in the last website, but here they address that in folklore there were vampires would feed off of other things. So in folklore, things that we called vampires might be psychic vampires. It looks like they're just clearing up stuff in their book that they wrote and saying whether or not they still believe it. Characteristics of a vampire. Oh no, they're saying. Right, so they're saying that right now they're clearing up things that have mental illnesses that a human may have that someone might say being a vampire is simply that mental illness. So they're explaining how that mental illness is different, which I'm not going to read all the way through it because I know about mental illness and I know about vampires after all my research today. So yeah, cool. Um, okay, all the way down here, they're still using she/her for all vampires. Uh, wait, no. Oh, never mind. They said his or her. I just saw her vampiric condition. Instead of saying his or her, just say their. Like, come on, it's that easy to just use they them. So that's just revisiting the book. That looks interesting. My throat hurts. So sanguinarians, we already know about those. Self-defined, yeah, same thing. This is just how they describe themselves. We already know about these. How is this different than a sanguinarian? I know on the few sites we'd read through every site's description of energy and. Hey, I'm recording something right now. Yeah, I'm getting kind of tired. I'm getting kind of tired of this stream because every single website it's kind of just the same information. Um, which doesn't mean that I won't visit these websites. I might do another stream this evening when. Right now, my parents want to talk to me about something, so and they want me to bring my laptop. So I'm gonna shut down the stream and I'm gonna go talk to my parents. Um, I'll come back in the evening. But thank you everyone who participated in these streams. I've had a lot of fun doing this.